bit more about what that means, I'm joined now by Louise Blanchette. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, so this is something that's been very close to your heart, something that you've worked on every year, but this is the first time that it's been recognized as a citywide initiative. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what Purple Day is?
Purple Day is now an international day. It's to raise awareness for epilepsy. It was created in 2008 by a young girl called Cassidy Megan. She's from Nova Scotia. She was 9 at the time. So it's amazing that a young kid has created all of this. And her goal, and now everyone's goal, is to help inform people how to help someone living with epilepsy. And I say living because most of us lead a pretty normal life, whatever normal is. And it's just to debunk some fears and myths and how to help someone, because people are afraid, and I believe it's because they don't know how to help.
For sure, and we'll talk about some of that during this interview, but let's talk first. Obviously, I mentioned that it's been recognized by the city. There was a flag raising at City Hall yesterday as part of this, but we also were speaking off camera, and this is something that you've been doing every year. Let's talk a little bit about your journey with Epilepsy Ottawa chapter and the work that you've done over the past couple of years.
Gosh, I'm going to say maybe 6 years ago, I held my first Purple Day at the school I used to work at. I worked at St. Joseph's Catholic Secondary School, and I always wanted to raise awareness. I wasn't sure where to start. I approached our administration. They jumped on board right away. St. Joseph's Uniform School. So our admin agreed to let the kids dress in purple. They donated $2, and the money was picked up by Nikki Porter, who is an employee at Epilepsy Ottawa. And she brought us purple pencils and info cards. We had a foods teacher bake purple cookies. And obviously I have family and friends who jumped in, and that really got me going because I needed that little push. I lacked the courage to do so. And this year I reached out to the city, and they were on board. And like you said yesterday, we raised the flag. That was exciting. It was also very emotional for us. But it's got the ball rolling, and I'm excited about it.
It's exciting for sure, and you mentioned, of course, being emotional yesterday, watching the flag go up, and you also mentioned, of course, living with epilepsy. So let's talk a little bit about that experience.
I was properly diagnosed at 19. I'm pretty sure I had seizures as a child. It was difficult for me to explain to my parents what was happening. I knew there was something. I couldn't explain it, so my parents didn't understand it. When I was 19, I had my first tonic-clonic seizure, which was formerly called a grand mal seizure. I was properly diagnosed by a doctor in Ottawa. Wow, you're taking me down there. Took me a long time to admit it, to face it, to accept it. I was young, I was 19, I was rebellious. Nobody understood it. So it was hard for me to express my feelings, my emotions, because nobody understood. And so I hid it for a long time. I hid not only my emotions, but my symptoms. When I had a seizure, I distanced myself from people physically. And it's been a challenging journey.
I can certainly imagine, and let's say for a second that someone's watching this right now and they may have not been diagnosed, or they may have, and they haven't told anybody, or they have those symptoms and they're keeping it a secret, and they're feeling the way that you just described. What would your message be to them?
You're not alone. You're not alone. I was diagnosed in the 80s. Here we are, 2021, and I'm finally speaking. There's great resources out there. There's great doctors out there. I personally see Dr. Callie in Ottawa. He's a great man. He's a great doctor. I suggest you reach out to Epilepsy Ottawa. They have great programs. They have a great staff. Yeah, the stigma needs to go away, and I think by speaking about it is the first step.
Absolutely, and that's what we're doing here today. And you mentioned some myths and maybe misconceptions about epilepsy. What are some of maybe the more common things that people should know that they maybe don't know, or they kind of misknow, or it's a fact that's not true?
Right. One of them is when we have a grand mal seizure, or like I said, tonic-clonic, people like to say, don't put anything in our mouth. We will not swallow our tongue. That is a myth. We may bite our tongue, we may bite the inside of our cheek, and if you put something in our mouth, you risk doing more damage than good. I've heard of people putting a finger in the mouth. You will get possibly bit. Don't restrain us. That also is a myth. You cannot stop the seizure from riding its course, just like we can't control it, which is another myth. We cannot control our seizures. And that frustrates me because why would I want to fake a seizure? You know, I take 3 different medications. If I could control my epilepsy, trust me, that medication would be the first thing to go.
Absolutely. So just finally, you've mentioned, of course, your work with Epilepsy Ottawa. You've mentioned that they're a resource for people to go to, but if people want to support Epilepsy Ottawa or just help raise awareness, what can they do?
Well, you could donate financially. Wear purple on March 26th. I've seen cities light up monuments with purple lights. I've seen public libraries lit up with purple lights. I remember one year attending Purple Day in Ottawa, and they encouraged everybody to paint just one fingernail purple. And I remember thinking, why one? Why not just do all of our fingers? And someone said, because if you do all of them, nobody asks questions. And if you do one, people say, why do you only have one? And then you get the conversation going. Many of us share posts on Facebook, on Instagram, social media, obviously. We share pictures of tattoos. I myself have a tattoo on my foot in honor of my brother. Gosh, like I mentioned before, the bake sale we had at my school.
Just lots.
Purple walks I've attended. I mean, you can be as creative as you want. I know a lot of people say I don't own any purple. No, it's not everybody's favorite color, but it's out there. You can find some.
For sure, and it's not too late if our viewers are watching right now and they do have a piece of purple clothing in their closet they want to bring out for the rest of the evening and post a picture to social media and just support this important cause that's kind of flown under the radar for a lot of people, I'm sure, but it's obviously it impacts a lot of people as well, and it's so important to get that message out there. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today, for all your hard work for this cause, and for sharing your story.
Well, I thank you for your time, because now you've participated in spreading the word, and my family and I appreciate it.
Joining me now with the latest from Parliament Hill is RMP Eric Duncan.